Now we will talk a bit about snapping and precise position. To help us visualize that, we will create, let's say, a simple cube. Currently, instead of turning this grid off, I would rather position this cube to light right on the top of this grid. Okay? So I can see the cube is 200 meters tall. I can enter 100 here and move that cube 100 meters in this Y direction. Okay? I'll convert it by pressing C, so it's a polygon object. And I think I will make a copy of that cube. Well, I can make a copy by holding down Ctrl key and dragging this cube in the object manager. And when you see this arrow pointing left, it means it will create additional copy of that cube, and it will add a suffix with the number 1. That means just to differentiate from this original name. So if I double click, I will enter, for example, 1 as a name. And if you want to rename the next object, just simply click the arrow down on your keyboard and enter whatever you want. I will enter number 2. So now I can, for example, move my cube somewhere here. Let me again enable that without shading lines. I like that mode. Any of this mode that works for you, for example, like lines or anything that suits you, is completely fine. Whatever helps you do the job. One of most common problems for beginners is how to precisely position elements in your scene. And the most logical solution for them is to really utilize these move tools and try to really match them up and use orbiting features. And well, that's not the solution. Let me undo that. There are features and functions surprisingly found under functions menu here, also in Cinema 4D, that will help you greatly in positioning your object. So for example, let's select both of our objects, which we can do by pressing the Shift key to add to selection, or you can deselect all and select them with a rectangle selection here in Object Manager. So if we now go here to Functions, and this little guy Range, and here in Attributes Manager we will select our mode to linear. Okay. Now watch what happens if I click Apply. Oh, well, this cube snapped 500 meters from this cube. Well, if we know that our cubes are 200 meters tall, if we enter 200 meters here, they will lie exactly on each other. Okay? We go to my move tool and undo that. So for example, what if our cubes are not the same size? So for example, this cube could be something around, I don't know, 99 meters. And we think we have it nailed, and we select this object and go to Functions, Range, and we enter here 99, and oops, something happens, and the result is not correct, and we will probably want to manually add some values. But if you zoom in, you can also see this is not correct. There is a small intersection between these two objects. So why does it not work? Well, as we said in previous video, Cinema 4D calculates from the axis. So it is always best to position the axis in the place where objects will actually touch. So let me show what I mean. If I go here to Structure, Axis, Axis Center, and position my axis of this cube right on the top here, on this top polygon. So it means in y-axis direction, plus direction, that means positive, and then execute. My axis will go all the way up here. So let's select our other cube, and we can do the complete opposite. Why? Because we want this axis to go all the way down here to the center, to the farmost, the bottom of this object. So we will invert this value to minus 100%. Okay, hit execute. And now we have set it our axis properly for the alignment. Okay, so now if I select this other object and go under functions, range, I actually want 0 space between those axes. So if I enter 0 and hit apply, then this cube will lie exactly on the top of this cube. Okay, so remember, always the calculations are always made from the axis. Okay, so for example, if I delete this bottom cube, my cube number 2 stays. So now you can see that from this axis down to the grid, the distance is calculated and is shows here, it's 200 meters. So if you enter 0 here, the distance will be 0. So keep that in mind. It will help you a lot when you will try to precisely position objects in your scene. Okay? There are many more options you can find under functions menu, for example, this center command, and under this move graph menu to clone and to position your objects, but I think this will be sufficient enough to gain an understanding how it operates. The things that we will cover in the next lesson are snapping tools that are really helpful. Okay, see you in the next lesson.